Welcome to Teen Up, a podcast that digs deeper into the thoughts of teenagers' minds about the wonders of the world.
If you're new here, I am your host, Isabella.
And I'm Glenn. If you're not, welcome back.
Here's a quick disclaimer. If we made any mistakes, please email us and tell us. Thank you. Top Gun Maverick is a sequel to the first Top Gun movie released in 1986. That is 36 years between these two movies, making it the longest record time for any movie between sequels.
So, to be honest, I have never seen the first one.
It's okay. You know what? Because Tom Cruise has not aged one bit.
Everybody says that.
Tom Cruise, top physique, like peak physique, still at the age of 60.
Oh, wait, he's 60?
Right now, I think he's 6. Yeah, he's 60.
Well, I hope I can look like that when I'm 60. Oh my god, that is not a 60 person.
I know, like...
So, the background of the film is after more than 30 years of service in the Navy, so it does recognize the time difference between two movies. Maverick, or Pete Mitchell, is being a test pilot, and then he was moved to a position to teach a bunch of students, a bunch of pilots, for a special mission.
Mm-hmm.
And in this movie, he needs to confront his past and his fear. Well, honestly, okay, it's a great film.
True.
But it's everything you would think of. Literally.
Yeah.
The story, zero surprise. Well,
yeah, for sure.
Tiny bit of surprise at the end. But like, overall, you know Tom Cruise not gonna die. You know none of them is dying.
Like, honestly, I feel like this movie is everything you would expect from an action movie.
A hero, action scenes, fighting.
A lot of bromance.
And, let's see, difficulties and, you know, these type of talks, like pep talks before going on to the battlefield.
Mm-hmm.
All that. You got it.
Mm-hmm. But I do like how this movie incorporated all the, like, the emotional parts into it. Like everyone's seen the first movie, right? Like, I could just spoil that. Because if you watch the second movie, you know what happens in the first movie, right? Yeah.
I don't.
Goose dies.
Oh.
That is Rooster's father.
Uh-huh.
I like how the part about Goose dying is still affecting Maverick's life and how he, you know, his relationship, like the dynamics between Maverick and Rooster is shown a lot in this movie. And I think it's just well incorporated, and there isn't a lot of like, even though everything is like basically imaginable and expected, but I still like how the movie played out.
Yeah, I think it's great that they incorporated the first film like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not overpowering and you can get the new one without watching the old one.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But still, the story keeps going on.
Yeah, and it's also pretty cool how a lot of scenes within this movie is recreating whatever they did in the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like even just the beginning part where they're getting the planes ready and flying them out from a boat, a ship. I don't know what that's called. It's basically they're recreating the first movie, and it's so iconic, especially for like people my parents' age. Like my dad and my mom has watched the movie when it came out. Like then it was very popular because it was, you know, Tom Cruise, and just everything about that movie was so new. And my mom and dad watched that when they were really young. And people back then, like, they didn't get to see movies that was filmed within airplanes, you know?
Yeah, it was like new back then.
Uh-huh. And it was just like a whole new technique, a whole new era in filmmaking. I don't know if it is.
And I have to say, the plane scenes in this movie is truly impressive. I know they like shot it in a actual plane, right?
Yes, they did.
unlike most movies these days are using computer images. And, as much as I hate to say this, there is a difference. When you see that the scenes are actually shot in a plane, it's kind of like more dynamic.
Yeah. So I think a character dies within the movie, correct? Oh, spoiler alert.
Well, somebody died. You don't know who. Now we can
um
get back to who died.
yeah, Ice died. In the first movie, I know you haven't watched it, but in the first movie, Ice was the kind of like the antagonist because like he was always like in the way of Maverick. Like he's always trying to beat him in flying and always like teasing him. But in the end of the first movie, they ended up going on the same mission and helping out each other. And they became like really good friends. And that's why Ice became this like loyal, but it's kind of like they developed a really great friendship because they had to go through something difficult together. And that's why Ice is always helping out Maverick whenever he messes up. And that's why he could still be a pilot.
Mm-hmm.
And seeing like, did you know that the actual like the I forgot the actor's name, can't remember. Anyways, the actor for this character Ice, he was actually, I think he had throat cancer or something.
Oh.
That's why he can't actually speak. And when he did speak within the movie, they didn't film his mouth moving because he didn't. It was a AI sound. Like they synthesized voice. Like it wasn't his actual voice. So,
Wow. Okay, I didn't know that. That's so cool.
and like seeing him still pushing through and filming this movie despite his illness, I think that shows a lot about him as a character, as an actor.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Like this is dedication,
And although I don't know if, since he has throat cancer, that he has come to an end in his acting career. I think also this movie showing him dying and giving him like a proper military funeral could also like be a metaphor towards his ending acting like career.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I think that is really touching. And he's also a great push factor for Maverick in figuring out his emotions and how he wants to deal with Rooster.
Yeah, that is the main conflict of this film.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this movie has a lot of great things, and it builds
Mm-hmm.
up really well. I really like the scene where he's testing the plane. It's the start.
Like the Mach 10.
Yeah. And I feel like that just shows what kind of person Maverick is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a
Mm-hmm.
great thing that you have that scene, so the movie is easier to follow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And overall, I just think that the second movie really wraps it up for the first movie. But it really makes a difference if you've never watched the first movie that you don't understand the emotional parts of the second movie.
Yeah, I do kind of get it a little bit because I'm trying to figure out what's happening a lot. Because I don't know about Goose. I don't know about Ice. I don't know the old guys.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to figure out what happened,
Well, after the break, we'll dive into the filmmaking of this movie.
Welcome back, and now we're going to talk about the filmmaking of this movie.
So, you know how Tom Cruise could actually fly a plane?
Actually, yes. Somebody told me that.
I know, it's crazy.
They told me that Tom Cruise specifically learned how to fly a plane for the first one, and then he asked all the other actors and actresses to learn how to fly a plane for this one, and then
Yeah, I thought this was like super cool. All the actors had to, do training. And the part about, how they like the G-force, how if they reach G9 or G10, they would like pass out. the actors did have to go through training for this G-force thing, because in a video I saw that was talking about this movie, they said that the normal humans can sustain up to G5, which is like, you know, when roller coasters go like up and then kind of like does a circle and comes back down.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's about the force of G5, and normal humans can sustain that, but beyond that you have to like train for it. And I think the dedication that these actors actually did was incredible. And when they were filming this, they actually did film this within the planes. Like they had to, I forgot what the other planes that they had to practice flying in, but they did 2 other plane like training, and then they finally got into the F-18s. Like I know absolutely nothing about planes, but I could tell that F-18 is like a hard to pilot plane. And they actually did have cameras within the plane. I think though they had like 6 cameras in the plane. And since the directors couldn't be in the plane with the actors had to know how to direct themselves and act at the same time.
Wow.
Just absolutely amazing.
And I feel like it has a lot to do with how camera gears has improved
Mm-hmm.
in the past few years. Okay, let me get into nerd mode for a little bit.
Sure.
So before, if you want to have at least like an HD video,
Mm-hmm.
we're talking about digital, okay? We're talking about
Yeah.
digital. If it's film camera, if it's like film, then oh my god, the camera is gonna be huge. You cannot fit into these tight spaces.
Mm-hmm.
And then Canon, sorry, it's like a little bit of like brand thing, but Canon came out with the first like digital camera that can shoot HD, which is 1080p, in a small format, which is like, you know, those cameras that I use,
Mm-hmm.
DSLRs.
Mm-hmm.
Those cameras are like small compared to cinema cameras, and these cameras can have like great images.
Mm-hmm.
So they used this type of new camera that can shoot HD to shot Mad Max Fury Road. Do you know that film? There's a lot of car scenes in it, and they like wrecked like 12 of them. And the reason they can wreck it just like that is because it's cheap compared to cinema cameras, which is like millions of dollars.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And now the camera technology is just even better. You don't need, like, it can just work itself. You don't need a person, you know, pulling focus or whatever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I think that is a little bit of background that make this happen. Especially you can see the image like inside the cockpit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, like whatever you just said, I totally did not understand what you said. The technology for sure has improved, and when I was watching the first movie, I could not see a lot of the actors' faces clearly because the camera was shaking with the plane. And in the second movie, you could tell how much more stable the cameras became, and how we could actually see the stress on the actor's face. A lot of the tricks that they did within the movie, I think, do you remember the trick where there were 2 planes like in the training and Maverick just flew in between them?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think that was a trick that not even people in the military would do without a lot of like training. Did he actually do that move? If he did, that would be really impressive.
Yeah, but I don't think he did that though.
Really? Wait.
But I think it's very impressive that they did it and filmed it either way, instead of like using a computer generated image.
Right. But I think this was the whole Tom Cruise idea, because he wanted to make it as authentic as possible. And I remember even in the training, they had to train within pools and like get ejected out of the plane, like the feeling of the ejection. Like they have to train for that as well.
Wait, so they actually got ejected?
No, if they did get ejected, like that would waste the plane's money, right? Like they had like stimulators to train for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for safety. And they had to practice getting out of the pool blindfolded as well, with like all the cloth covering them too, like from the parachute. Like they had to train for all of that. But one interview one of the characters said that everything was filmed, like it's super hard to do everything that they do within the film, but because of the training they had, everything was really safe and they understood the risks and everything.
I just feel like it's very impressive that they do it
Mhm.
actually, because seeing how much our technology has grown, you 100% don't need to do that.
For sure.
I think it's easily achieved for them to like generate the whole thing on computer with like green screen maybe or stuff like that.
And just within the studio, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think that's what makes it, like, if you know this going into the theater, like, I personally did not know about this. Like, they did a lot of this, like, actual flying themselves when I went into the movie. I felt super nervous when they had to do, like, the climb up the mountain, even, you know, everything that they did, the mission. And I didn't know that. But now that I know that, if I watched the movie second time, it would be even more nerve-wracking.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's very impressive. And it does look more authentic.
For sure.
Because it's true. I mean, the details, you can't beat real. But, like, is it necessary, like, 100%? I don't think so.
It's like Mission Impossible, right? Like, they did the same thing with Mission Impossible.
Yeah, Mission Impossible are also, like, shot, like, with a real plane and stuff. Oh, and I knew that there was, like, a shot in Mission Impossible where Tom Cruise is, like, hanging on an aircraft.
Yeah.
Like, they actually shot that with Tom Cruise himself. Like, not a double.
Yeah, not a stunt double.
That is impressive. I do have like one tiny regret though, is that I didn't see it on like IMAX or 4DX or, you know, these special things. Because I went into the theater too late and I can't get the ticket with like limited screenings.
Same.
It is such a shame.
I know.
It would have been more exciting, I would think.
Like in the theaters, I watched a standard one as well because I couldn't get the tickets, but I was like clutching my hands, type of nervous.
Yeah, it's very nervous. Like every moment is very tight.
I could only imagine what I would feel like in an IMAX theater
or 4DX. You know, like when your chairs move with the plane, that would have been fun.
I know. Overall, I think this movie just really adds up the action and the emotion together. Unlike a lot of action movies that isn't able to get people into tears.
So next week we are going to talk about a Taiwanese film called A One and a Two.
Thank you for listening to this episode.
We will upload a new episode every Thursday.
Remember to like, follow, and share our podcasts with your friends and family. You could also share your idea and thoughts with us on our Instagram at teenup.podcast.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share our channel. Thank you and bye.